And welcome everyone to iCritic Live. This is the podcast where we talk about entertainment, pop culture, and life in between. I'm your host, Kevin T. Rodriguez, film critic of iCritic.net. Thank you so much for spending a little bit of your time with me and my special guest, Rachel from Rachel's Reviews. Hi, Rachel.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
Oh, no problem. I love doing these Oscar videos with you. So, for those of you who missed last year, what this is a special where we decide if we were voting members of the Academy, what movies would we as YouTubers slash amateur film critics pick? These are not predictions on what we think will win. These are not predictions on what should win. This is who we would personally vote for. And that's it. You may share your thoughts in the comment section. We will share as many live as we can. And we've got, special video clips and stuff like that. We're going to do this like a real award show would. So this is going to be fun, right?
Yes.
This is
going to be a blast.
Awesome. So
exactly what the Academy will vote for, I'm sure.
In some cases maybe, in some cases maybe not. So, and we're also not going to do all 24 categories because I guess now it's 25 because we don't want to be here till midnight. We will do just the main categories, and we'll start with the nominees for Best Supporting Actor, which are Sterling K. Brown as the writer's unpredictable little brother.
Oh,
How?
you could just tell. Lisa told me she saw him kissing a white woman once.
Why did I have no idea? Why am I the last to know?
Because you love them too much. Enemies see each other better than friends.
Robert De Niro as the man behind a series of murders in Killers of the Flower Moon.
The front is the front, the back is the back.
He has to make it look like he done himself.
It just looks like murder. It's not supposed to be that way. You hear?
Robert Downey Jr. as a sleazy politician in Oppenheimer.
Talks about putting the nuclear genie back in the bottle. Well, I'm here to tell you that I know. J. Robert Oppenheimer, if he could do it all over, he'd do it all the same. You know he's never once said that he regrets Hiroshima?
Ryan Gosling as a Ken doll who wants more from his life in Barbie.
My dream house, it's mine!
No, this is no longer Barbie's dream house. This shall henceforth be known as Ken's Mojo Dojo Casa House.
You don't have to say dojo and house and casa.
But you do because it feels good. Try it.
Mojo dojo casa.
Mojo Dojo Casa House.
Mark Ruffalo as an aristocrat who falls in love with a humanoid doll.
Your adorable way of speaking.
I'm a changeable feast, as are all of we. Apparently, according to Emerson, disagreed with by Harry.
Come, just come.
You were in my son.
What?
And those are some pretty solid nominations, but we can only vote for one. So let me see who you decided to vote for first. So if you were to pick Best Supporting Actor, you would pick Ryan Gosling for Barbie.
Yes. I'm not, to be honest, like super in love with any of these nominations. I think they're all fine, but none that really excite me. But yeah, I think that this made like the most impression for me. It was the one I enjoyed the most out of this five. And he had to
five.
What?
It's the funniest of the five. That's for
yeah,
sure.
And he had to do more. He had to sing. He had to hit more sort of, I think, different notes. It was just my favorite of these five.
Yeah, and also I've been unpopular. Well, there's two unpopular things that I have said about Barbie. One, that it is a toy commercial, and it is a very good one, but it is. And that I actually think Ken is a more interesting character than Barbie in this movie. I think Ken has a much better arc, if you will. So,
well, we definitely disagree there. So
that Ken has the more interesting arc.
No, we disagree about it being a commercial.
I know. Of course, I'm going to poke that bear forever. All right. Well, I actually came close to picking him, but I didn't quite. So if you want to share your screen and share who I would vote for.
Okay. Let's see here.
Because I think you can share on your end.
Sorry, let me see.
Yeah, we didn't. It should be noted, folks. We didn't exactly practice for this before, so like this is actually the first time we're doing it.
Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine. It's live. So,
can you see it?
There? No, I don't think. Oh, hold on. I think. Let me see here. Is this? Nope, that's not it. So, huh.
Oh, here.
Oh, there we go. There we go. So we do this, and well, you want to read?
There we go. Oh, you want me to read it?
Yeah.
So Robert Downey Jr. for Best Supporting Actor.
Yeah, I mean, I came very close to picking Ryan Gosling, believe it or not. But at the end of the day, Oppenheimer, despite the ensemble cast, really is about two pivotal figures, about Oppenheimer himself and Strauss, the politician who feels wronged by Oppenheimer and tries to take his success away. And the thing is, like, well, first I didn't even realize it was Robert Downey Jr. So when it takes a while for me to recognize who an actor is, that always scores a few points. But he is so engaging in this movie. Like, you can't take your eyes off of him when you're watching this performance. And so, and unlike you, I did like most of these nominations, but it's like, considering that he had to play a character who is not an evil person, but certainly does a lot of bad things, but in a strange way, he's not completely wrong about them. Like, that's just such a complex person to play, and I think he played it perfectly. So he would get my vote if.
Yeah, he did a good job. I don't think he did a bad job. I mean, if I was gonna, there's so many supporting performances in Oppenheimer. It's hard to pick which one is the best performance. I mean, I might be inclined to pick Alden over. I thought he was really good in his supporting, as far as supporting roles. There, I mean, everybody was good in the film with what they were asked to do. I don't know. I thought it was good. I didn't think it was like amazing, but
yeah. I thought it was pretty amazing. Although I will say the reason one of the ways he probably got in over some of the other performances is he's almost a co-lead in this movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
I mean, you know, he's in half of the movie and that designates for supporting, but then the other actors are in half of what he's in. So it looks like a lead in comparison.
I mean, and I don't think it was that strong a year for actor performances, to be completely frank. So yeah. Well, good job, Robert. Way to go.
Yep. All right. Well, I pick.
Like, there's nobody that I'm like, they were so robbed, you know. So that's fine.
Anyone was really robbed, but I am happy with the nominations. Okay, let's move on. Maybe I'll be a little happier with the actresses. So next up, we're going to do Best Supporting Actress, and the nominees are Emily Blunt as Oppenheimer's stressed out wife in Oppenheimer.
Wife, can you explain quantum mechanics to me? Seems baffling.
Matter is solid. Stop my body passing through yours. I meant with your husband.
Yes, you did. But you know, it won't make a bit of difference.
Danielle Brooks as Sophia from the hit musical adaptation The Color Purple.
What's supposed to do I for? I bet it won't walk over me. Howdy, man. Is Mister around?
No. He at the ale house.
Ale house. Yeah, Sophia!
America Ferrera as a single mother trying to reconnect with her teenage daughter in Barbie.
But somehow we're always doing it wrong. Like, you have to be thin, but not too thin. And you can never say you want to be thin. You have to say you want to be healthy, but also you have to be thin. You have to have money, but you can't ask for money, because that's crass.
Jodie Foster as the best friend of a worldwide swimmer in Naiad.
Have you been swimming?
Yes, I have.
Wow, look at you, swimmer. Okay, wow. What's it been, like 30 years since you put on a pair of goggles?
That's right.
How'd it feel?
Great. Came right back to me.
Great exercise at your age. Low impact. Easy on the joints.
Yeah. I want to do it.
Do what?
Cuba to Florida. My swim.
Huh? You're hilarious, sir.
Divine Joy Randolph as the school cook with a dark secret in The Holdovers.
Failed someone who richly deserved it?
Oh, the Osgood kid? Yeah, he was a real rich and popular combination around here.
So before we open your envelope, are you overall happy with those sets of nominations?
I wasn't unhappy with. I just thought they were all okay. This one, I think that they're stronger. I would say I would say this is a stronger group.
Okay, well, and then let's take a look at where did it go there? I'm good. Oh wait, it's because I put it as a slide. Oops, sorry, folks. See, like I said, we didn't practice for it, but I am going to share the screen over here, and your pick for supporting actors is Divine Joy Randolph from The Holdovers.
Yeah. Loved this performance. I thought she brought so much emotion to the what could have been I thought that she carried so many different notes within the picture. She had lighter moments, funnier moments, intense moments, and so it was an overall, I think, really strong performance.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was a very strong performance too, and I feel I'm going to be a spoiler. I will not personally vote for her, but I'm also very happy for all the success that she is getting. She definitely holds her own against Paul Giamatti, which is not easy to do, and she has probably the most emotional story arc in the whole thing. So, but I did have someone that I liked a little bit more. So, if you would like to share your,
That's here. Sorry.
Oh, that's fine. So,
can you see it?
Let's see. Yeah. I don't think that's the right one though.
What? I have it open. It says sharing.
Oh, I think you picked the wrong slide. Oop. Uh-oh, I accidentally kicked her out. Oh no. Oh no, I kicked her out. Oh my gosh, so sorry. Let me message her. So sorry. Come back. I'm so sorry. Okay, that's never happened before either. No, I think you picked the wrong.
No, I have. I don't know.
Well, lesson learned this, folks. Next year we're going back to the paper.
Okay, I have it. It looks right.
Oh, you're right. It is. Okay, sorry. That was my Okay, well, you want to read it?
It's America Ferrera, best supporting actress.
Yes. So here's the thing. I was actually hoping that America Ferrera would surprise in this category, and sure enough, she did. It was one of the few surprise nominations that I predicted, and it's because I know some people are complaining like, oh, this is just one speech. It's not, it's one scene and the rest of the performance is okay. It's like, yeah, but that one scene really was the heart and soul of the movie. And I really loved her relationship with her daughter. And, it's like, I think she also, because we saw Barbie dolls through her eyes, we understand why the Barbie world is such a big deal to her and what it means to her and how, yeah, it's a toy, but she bonded with her daughter over this toy, and now her daughter's, rejecting the toy and she's not connecting as much, and so she designs her own Barbie dolls. I just thought it was a very understated performance for a movie that was really kind of in your face in many aspects, including Ryan Gosling's performance. So
yeah, I can see that. It was definitely like brought the gravitas to the story, so I can see that.
Right. I would actually argue if she wasn't in this movie, I don't think it would have been good. I really don't think it would have been good because I think she was the one who brought, the element that you could take this seriously, because there are other scenes in the movie that were supposed to be taken seriously, like her teenage daughter giving Barbie the talk down, and that was so misguided that I at first thought that was supposed to be like a funny scene, and then I found out later on, oh no, they meant for that to be taken seriously, and that didn't work.
I mean, I think it would just be a flat out comedy. I would be more on the lines of something like an Enchanted comedy musical, and so you do need the scene because the movie is trying to say something, and so you need it. If it didn't have it, then it would just be kind of a, like I said, like a comedy musical. It just wouldn't be the same movie. So
right. No. So I was very, I mean, she's unlikely to win. This is if we picked the winners. But I will say that I'm happy that she's at least in the conversation. All right.
My second place would probably be Danielle Brooks, to be honest. But I really enjoyed her in that. So.
She was really good too. Well, she was really good too. She'd probably be a third for me. I don't know if there's anyone I would take out, but Jodie Foster.
I haven't seen Nia, to be honest, so I can't speak to that. So.
That's pretty good, but I'd probably put her nomination at 5th if we were ranking them. So, all right, so we're gonna do everyone's favorite category next, best documentary. No, I'm kidding. No, we're
not ready for that.
No, actually, the funny thing is I have contemplated doing a couple of the shorts, but because I think our least favorite animated short is the one that's going to win, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree.
But
it's going to win, and I'm going to groan.
Yeah, that one's getting off of the name recognition alone. But when it comes to animated feature, it is a race, so I'm very curious to see what our picks are. And here's the nominees for Best Animated Film. The Boy and the Heron, Elemental, Nimona, Robot Dreams, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. And I'm sorry for the clips being unusually short. Animation in particular is especially susceptible to copyright strikes. But let us see what you would pick as Best Animated Feature. It would be Robot Dreams. Okay, so I'm gonna be honest, this is the one that I did not see, so you're gonna have to now explain to me why this would be your pick over a couple of other nominations.
Yeah, this was in my top 5 of the year total, and it was my favorite animated film of the year. I love stories about friendship. This is a story about friendship. It's very sweet. It's very funny. It uses music incredibly well. I love the 2D animation in it, and so
the 2D animation does look pretty good. And of course, I mean, this year has kind of been a year where people talk about budgets, because Godzilla Minus Zero looked like a -1, sorry. Whatever, it's a Godzilla movie. A very good one, folks, but there's so many of them out there.
You take away a point.
Well, because that was made for $15 million, looks like $200 million.
Yeah, unbelievable.
Granted, I think it's because labor laws in Japan are especially bad. But this is a Spanish film with no dialogue, I hear. And this was made on a $6 million budget, and it looks like it's $20 million. So I think movies like this are kind of showing people you don't have to break the bank to make stuff that looks good. Now, who knows? Maybe if I had seen Robot Dreams, maybe I'd pick it. I don't know. Interestingly, I had the opportunity to see it with the director in attendance, but something was going on that day, so I couldn't, and I'm kicking myself. So, but let's see what I picked. You can probably guess, but we will make it official. I think you might have to reshare, unfortunately.
There we go.
All right. And feel free to read it.
The Boy and the Heron.
Yes, this is probably not a huge surprise, although I have to say the Spider-Man movie is really good. But we rarely see movies that are this personal in the best animated feature category, and I would like to see this as a win for a couple of reasons. One, it would be kind of cool to finally see a PG-13 rated film win this award, which would essentially break the stereotype that this is the kiddie table award. You know, it never has been, but because of all the winners being usually Disney and Pixar and DreamWorks, it's got a reputation for a reason. And I think a win for this would shatter that reputation. But also, and I'm really disappointed that Miyazaki has not been in consideration for director this season, because only he could have made this movie, only with his vision, only with what he had to say. And the thing is, this is a movie that even if you don't know the whole story about the studio and his life and stuff, you're watching it and it's very clear that there's a filmmaker here who is putting something very personal on display. He has something to say, and kind of like I'd actually say like Apocalypse Now. You know, Apocalypse Now is a great movie, but wouldn't say that I understand the whole thing, if you will. But it's very clear that Francis Ford Coppola was doing something very personal there. Same thing with 2001: A Space Odyssey. And I think The Boy and the Heron's like, yeah, this is a work of art, and only a specific artist could bring it to life. And I think that's wonderful. And so I think it's more than worthy of a win. And it's got a pretty good shot. This is like the first time in a long time I can think of where the best animated feature race has been like an actual race.
Yeah, it really is one of the hardest ones to predict because of the two. It's a two horse race. You know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Spider-Man, the way that the stats people have made it out, has like a 1.3% advantage over The Boy and the Heron. That's how close it is. I'm curious, where would you rank Boy and the Heron on these 5?
It would be my number 3, and not because I don't dislike it. It's a movie that I admire more than I love. Partly it's just because I don't really love weird birds. So just the whole aesthetic just wasn't personally my favorite. And I did think the story was kind of muddled in places. It could have, but I think that it was beautiful and it was personal. I think all the things you said are true. So I wouldn't have a problem with it winning. And I'm always happy to see anime get recognized because it almost never is. And I would love to, for eventually people besides Miyazaki to get recognized, except for once with Mamoru Hosoda. But yeah, I mean,
Suzumi really should be part of this race.
The Academy just, for whatever reason, they have now responded to Makoto Shinkai's work. And there is, in my opinion, a definite anime bias. And Miyazaki is the one exception, but he's still only won one time. So I mean, I would be happy to see him win. I wish that Joe Hayasashi had gotten nominated for score. To me, it's just an absolute insanity that he's never been nominated. It's crazy.
I thought it could happen after the Globe surprise with that nomination, but. And I don't want to disrespect that. I don't want to disrespect the man because he is a legend. But this whole nominating John Williams for everything he does has got to stop. It really does. So anyway, I guess this has turned into like a little mini rant show.
But I think it's a pretty strong category. I didn't love Elemental, but I think it's beautifully animated. So overall, I was very pleased with. I
wouldn't have nominated Elemental over Suzumi, but I did like Elemental. I was actually very surprised how much I liked Elemental. So
I didn't love it, but there we go.
No, all right. Well, we're gonna switch tabs real quick because for obvious reasons I can't show any of the song samples, but the nominations are American Symphony, It Never Went Away from American Symphony, Music and lyrics by John Batiste and Dan Wilson. I'm Just Ken, written by Ron Sin and Andrew White from Barbie. What Was I Made For by Billie Eilish and Phineas O'Connell from Barbie. The Fire Inside, music and lyrics by Diane Warren for Flaming Hot. And I'm going to butcher this. Wazahi, A Song for My People by Scott George, Killers of the Flower Moon. And by the way, I'm going to add one more thing. This nominating Diane Warren, every single nomination is getting just as equally tiresome as John Williams. You know, I hate to be crass. Parents, turn the volume down for just a second, but this is one of those situations where it's like, you know what? Just screw and get it over with. Just screw each other and get it over with, because this is getting ridiculous. But
I agree. There's no question.
But anyway, let's look at your pick for song. And you would pick I'm Just Ken from Barbie. So I've got an idea on why you picked this one, but maybe you should enlighten us.
It's pretty simple. I just think it's the catchiest song of the group. I just like it the best.
You just think it's the catchiest song.
I do, and I think it's the most memorable of the Barbie songs, and the other two songs aren't all that memorable. So, yeah, I just think it's the most memorable, catchiest, most enjoyable song.
Well, if that's all you have, you might as well just share mine because I'm going to give a much better defense with my song.
Okay. There we go.
All right.
I'm Just Ken.
You knew that was coming, probably. I mean, folks, what can I say? I mean, first of all, it is really catchy. That song is an earworm.
Yeah.
It is a lot of fun. And here's another thing, and I do take this into consideration sometimes when I pick the songs. It is the only song that I can, well, maybe not, but it's one of only two songs that has something to do with the movie itself. And the Killers of the Flower Moon song is kind of a background song. It doesn't leave an impression, but I'm Just Ken does leave an impression.
Yeah,
it's a lot of fun, and it's so fun. It's funny, and you know, do the Kens use those colors in that scene. And by the way, folks, that whole Barbie soundtrack is excellent. I mean, I haven't felt like there's been like a movie soundtrack where it's like, oh, this is a soundtrack that you can count as an album and you can listen to it since, I would say, Twilight Breaking Dawn Part 1. That's unfortunately a very good soundtrack. But this Barbie kind of even brought the whole thing of like Top Gun and stuff back, where it's like, oh yeah, you buy the soundtrack because all the songs are great.
Yeah, I agree. It was a great soundtrack. Yeah. If it were up to me, I probably would have nominated some of the songs from Wonka, I think, but they weren't even submitted. So go figure.
No, and you know, as much as I liked Wonka, I don't really remember the songs that well. I'm not gonna lie. So
yeah.
Like I didn't find myself. I mean, I listened to the CD after the movie, but it was kind of like, I think I listened to it one time through and it was like, those songs didn't hold up without the visuals from my perspective. And of course, I think Barbie would have gotten a third nomination with that Dia Lupa song, but the Academy capped the number of songs that a film could get nominated for because there was fear that it was splitting the vote too much. I do think this is the one category Barbie's going to win. I just don't think it's going to be.
I agree.
I don't think it's going to be for our song. I think
you
it's
don't?
easy. No, I think the other one's going to win.
You think it'll be the Billie Eilish one?
Yeah, I mean, two reasons. One, that song plays on the, three reasons. One, that song plays on the radio. Two, you could get young people tweeting how Billie Eilish won another Oscar. And three, you know, if I'm an older Academy member and I'm looking at song titles and seeing I'm Just Ken and What Was I Made For, you feel stupid voting for a song called I'm Just Ken. So I don't know.
He is going to, not that they know that he's performing, but I don't know.
He's announced he's performing.
You're probably right, but I could still see it. I could still see I'm Just Ken coming in there. But you don't really know. No, like there are some silly songs that have won, like Man or Muppet, or you know. So.
Man or Muppet won when there was only 2 options, and it was pretty clear which one was.
But I'm just saying that there have been some silly songs that have.
Yeah.
Won.
Oh yeah, it's hard out here for a pimp.
Oh. Yeah, exactly.
That's well, I mean, it's actually a pretty good song, folks. But you know, just the idea that it's hard out here.
Well, and after that one, I remember them saying, because at the time Martin Scorsese hadn't won.
Yeah.
And them saying like the
6 Mafia.
Yeah, there's one Oscar.
That was Jon Stewart, and everyone laughed, and he does a little dance, and
that was funny.
It's like also their acceptance speech was great, though. They're jumping up and down, they're excited. It's like, yeah, that's how you accept an Oscar. So, all right, let us.
I just realized I forgot to put screenplay on my thing. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Messed up. I apologize. Was that fine?
Oh, okay. Well, you can.
Can I just say it?
Yeah. In this case, we'll just let you say it, and this is also one.
Oh, in fairness, you didn't have it on your order.
Shoot.
You said no. The order will be.
Oh,
you didn't have it on there.
I messed up on that one. So, okay. Well, we'll start with adapted screenplay first, and the adapted screenplay is American Fiction by Cord Jefferson, based on the novel Erasure by Percival Everett. Barbie by Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach, based on characters created by Ruth Handler. Oppenheimer, Christopher Nolan, based on the biography American Prometheus, The Triumph and Tragedy of J. Robert Oppenheimer by Kai Bird and Martin J. Sherwin. Poor Things by Tony McNamara, based on the novel by Alasdair Gray. And The Zone of Interest, Jonathan Glazer, based on the novel by Martin Amis. So since you are just stating what you would vote for, I think I know, but what would you pick?
Can you say? I'm sorry. Can you say them one more time?
Okay, so American Fiction, Barbie. Here I should probably be sharing this as well. Oppenheimer, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest.
Out of those, I would pick Oppenheimer.
I am very surprised. So I'm now curious about why you picked that one.
Because I actually think that the script in Barbie is kind of a bit of a mess. I think that's the one problem that I have with it. I mean, I enjoyed it. It was up there for me. But the one problem that I have with it is I think that the script is it's kind of all over the place. It's a whole bunch of ideas all mixed together, and I enjoyed it, but I think the one flaw is the script, and I think that one of the strongest parts about Oppenheimer is the script, the way that they were able to combine something as boring as congressional hearings. I can't think of anything more boring, and the way that they were able to edit it together and combine these storylines together in a way to make that gripping and make it interesting and make it exciting, I think was very commendable. And so there we go. I haven't read any of these books, and so that part of the adaptation I think is hard to say. But I think that what they were able to pull off in making something that should be super dry into something interesting, I think is very impressive.
Yeah, well, I think the editing plays a part in that, but the dialogue does have to be engaging. Otherwise, these conversations are, even just certain lines, the way they say things are said, like so.
Yeah. Well, and it is the editing, but it's also the script that combines all the stories, not just the dialogue, but the stories have to be combined.
Because the script has to guide the editor and the director. Well, and also it kind of showed because Christopher Nolan has like the sole screenwriting credit on this movie. So the screenplay was probably more of a blueprint for him on how to direct the movie. And so it's probably very effective in that regard. I actually do kind of agree with you because the thing is I've seen Barbie and Oppenheimer multiple times. And I will say that while the Oppenheimer dialogue seems to just get better every time I watch it, the stuff happening in Barbie seems a little bit more scattered the more times you watch it. Like, in hindsight, it's like, well, why'd they do this scene? Like, did they have to do that? Maybe there was something tighter in here, because it just had a lot of ideas.
It did have a lot of ideas. I agree.
Yeah, and I'm also going to state that I mean, there's also a lot of controversy about it being in the adapted screenplay category, and it's like, personally, if it was like my Academy, I'd run it original, but considering the Academy has set this precedent where it's like just basing something off of characters that were created can be considered adapting it just by their own rules.
I think it's ridiculous, but yeah, there we go. But your pick for best adapted screenplay is Cord Jefferson for American Fiction.
Yeah, well, I will say this was a tough one. I actually kind of had a hard time. I was thinking about Oppenheimer myself, but I would give Oppenheimer so many things that when it comes to the screenplay, it's like, I really love how American Fiction plays out. It was funny. It was really smart. It had a lot to say about, honestly, preconceived notions about writing and who writes books, and it even opened a conversation where it's like the drivel is the one that gets published because publishers think they know better than the author on how to write things, and then you have that one person who is criticizing the obvious cash grab, but then is writing obvious cash grabs on the side because there's clearly a market for it. So I just thought American Fiction was just a very, very clever film, and the characters were very well established. And I even kind of like that ambiguous ending where it's like it really kind of leaves you in like a almost choose your own ending scenario, but in the most entertaining way possible.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. I thought it was entertaining, especially I really liked Jeffrey Wright's performance. And I think everything with the satire about the publishing world and about Black voices and how the characters are so often people are patronizing him and not actually allowing him to tell the stories that he wants to tell, but claiming that they're supporting Black voices, is all really good and great. I think the stuff with his family is less effective. I think that's a little bit more, I was kind of like, okay, let's get back to the satire because that was so effective. So that's why I would pick Oppenheimer over American Fiction, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah, and without giving too much away, one of the biggest highlights of how hypocritical the whole situation is the awards voting scene, where when you see how that plays out, it's almost like clearly certain people have no sense of self-awareness.
Which is like the height of irony. Of course, it's going to get nominated for everything because it's like the screenplay was like begging for a nomination because so I laughed. I was like, of course this is going to get nominated. Not that it doesn't deserve it, but it's still ironic. It's very funny.
All right. So now with best original screenplay, and I'll just name off the movies just to make it easy to remember. We have Anatomy of a Fall, The Holdovers, Maestro, May December, and Past Lives. I know exactly what you're going to say, but say it.
I like all these except for one. I like all these but two. I would give it to The Holdovers. I thought it was a brilliant script. I loved it, and so there we go.
I totally knew you were going to say that, and it is a very good script, and it balances the the witty dialogue with the drama very, very, very
Yeah,
well.
very effectively.
So, yep. I mean, and especially one of the things that's great about Holdovers is I kind of wonder if people understand what I talk about when I'm talking about long establishing shots where movies are edited so hectically. Like, you kind of wonder if they're only remembering 1 or 2 lines of dialogue. And in this movie, scenes go on and on with one shot. And these characters have to remember pages of dialogue, some of it very funny and some of it very sad. And I'm sure they took multiple takes, but they don't miss a beat in the finished film. So, but I didn't quite pick that one. So why don't you?
Right. There we go. So you have Celine Song for Past Lives.
Yeah, and I picked this one partly because this I think this spoke to me. I mean, I try not to have too many regrets in life, but there are times when I'm definitely the classic case of a person like, if I could go back and do this over again, knowing what I know now, where would I be? What would my life be like? And so I think Past Lives really almost kind of shows the dilemma of that with these two people who, maybe in some world they could have been together. They could have been very happy together, but life kind of just took them on a different path. And, they're, for the most part, happy with that new path, but there's always that lingering feeling like, what if we had did something different this way? And obviously, like The Boy and the Heron, this is a very personal story. I love it when personal stories get made and they get shown on the screen. So
yeah, this will probably be my second choice. I thought it was really well done. I had a very different experience than a lot of other people watching it because I saw it at Sundance and I just really grew attached to her husband early on. I loved that actor's performance. I really thought he was endearing and just was so selfless and loving. Really loved him. And I just really didn't want her to cheat on her husband. I was just watching like, no. It's not overstating it to say I was in agony watching, like, no, please. And of course, then she doesn't. But anyway, it was just a more stressful experience for me than most people. But it was very well done. And I agree with you, that message of like the other life that we might have led. And when she finishes this experience, I think her marriage is only actually stronger now that she has decided to keep her vow, and so it was a very, very good film, but was very stressful.
Yeah, that was another thing where I appreciated the film where it was shown as a good thing that, you don't second guess yourself to the point where you make a decision that's because there was also kind of a subtlety there where in very subtle ways in the dialogue, you can see that in some ways they still have feelings for each other. In some ways they still like each other, but they're just not the same people they were when they started. I think either one of these would be great winners. All right, so folks, we're gonna get into the main categories now. The main ones. We're gonna start with Best Actor, and the nominees are Bradley Cooper as the tortured Leonard Bernstein in Maestro, Coleman Domingo as a civil rights activist with Martin Luther King Jr. in Rustic,
Peanut butter and jelly.
We were talking and...
Don't answer that. Who's we?
The girls and myself, and decided that cheese sandwiches would be so
peanut
much
butter
better.
and jelly. Don't answer that. What is the one word you've heard me say over and over? Eleanor.
Details.
It's gonna be over 80 degrees. Cheese spoils. You should know better.
Paul Giamatti as a teacher with his wits at his end in The Holdovers,
And? He accused me of copying from his senior thesis, plagiarizing. Well, did you? No, he stole from me. That blue-blooded prick's family had allies on the faculty. I mean, their last name is on a library, for Christ's sake. So he accused me in order to sanitize his treachery, and they threw me out.
Cillian Murphy as the designer of the atomic bomb in Oppenheimer,
Our work here
will ensure a peace mankind has never seen.
The world will remember this day.
Jeffrey Wright, whose fictitious novel that was supposed to be satire may be taken too seriously in American fiction.
Yeah, this way. Here you go.
Yeah. Wait a minute. Why are these books here?
I'm not sure. I would imagine that this author, Ellison, is black.
That's me. Ellison. Yeah. He is me, and he and I are black.
Can we just have a tie this year?
Yeah, this is a lot stronger than supporting, in my opinion.
This one's going to be very, very tough.
Yeah.
But we must vote. We only have one vote, and your vote goes to Paul Giamatti for The Holdovers.
Yep.
So, why is Paul Giamatti most worthy out of all those others?
Again, I think his performance kind of has to go more places than the others. Jeffrey Wright, maybe also. I don't know. It's a tough. They're very similar, I think, as far as tone and style, and as far as performances. So it'd be battling back and forth. But he has dramatic moments. He has comedic moments. That dialogue is so sharp. I also really appreciate the fact that his character has what's called a strabismus, and I don't know how they did it. It's very cool. Like, because I have a strabismus. I've had to have surgery twice. I really struggle with eye contact, and so one of the things I know that hurts me as a YouTuber is that it's really hard for me. And so that was just kind of a fun thing. I've never seen a character that has a strabismus in a lead in a movie, so that was cool.
So, fun fact: apparently, he can do that at will. That's not a special effect.
Oh, really? Yeah, that was cool. It was neat.
That's pretty impressive. Well,
yeah.
Well, why don't you show what my pick is going to be?
There we go. Paul Giamatti for Best Actor. So.
Yep.
Yay!
What can I say? He balances the drama and the comedy so well in this, and that eye trick really was something. And what I really like about Paul Giamatti's performance is that you actually understand him very well with very little to go on. Like, even before some of the things start getting revealed, you can kind of understand why he is the way he is and why he's picked to watch the kids. And then the more you find out, the more you get to like him. And, you know, the more you realize, like, he was really given a raw deal in life. And his cantankerous attitude is almost like he's preparing his students for the world not to be fair or very nice, because he was kind of led to believe that it would be fair, and that he just worked hard, and it didn't quite work out the way he wanted. So he wants to impress that message on other people. I think it's a great performance. And I will say he's kind of become not the front runner after initially becoming the front runner. I am going to hold out hope, and I'm still going to predict him, because it's like, I just think the Academy might do the right thing. It's a long shot, but I'm still predicting him to win.
I mean, I'd be thrilled. I think that Murphy's got it. Both of them are beloved. Both of them gave good performances. So
and Murphy did. And Murphy did have to engage everyone for a whole 3 hours. That's I mean, I do understand the logic where it's like, well, if this is the best movie of the year and this is the best this and the best that, how do you not give it to the guy who was the center of 3 hours? I don't know. Ask Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet in Titanic.
Right.
So, all right.
Or anybody in Lord of the Rings.
You know, that one's more tricky, because though every single one of them could be considered supporting.
Yeah, fair.
And so, but I know that Ian McKellen got it for the first one, and I thought Sean Astin would get it for the second one, or I mean the third one, but oh well. All right, let's do. I also want to add one more thing. Even though Maestro is not my favorite film, I am kind of shocked that Bradley Cooper became the awards villain when all he did was take making his movie very seriously. It's like, look, guys, the movie's fine, but it's also on Netflix. It's not like, I don't know. It's not like a.
Yeah, I didn't love the movie. I thought it, and I didn't love the performances. I thought they felt phony to me. It felt artificial. It didn't feel real. It didn't feel lived in. It didn't feel. It didn't work for me, but I don't think he's like a bad person. People do bristle against like what they see as kind of Oscar bait or trying too hard, but I don't know.
This was probably one of those situations, but oh well. It was a 3.5-star movie for me, so there I am. All right, let's get to Best Actress, and the nominees are
Annette Bening as real-life swimmer Diane Nyad in Nyad.
Surf for 14 hours straight. I would have made it if he hadn't.
Well, that's on you. I looked him up, your old navigator from '78.
That's poetic.
Step outside with me for a minute.
Lily Gladstone as a Native American who was targeted by murderers in Killers of the Flower Moon.
Told me you was going with Matt Williams for a time.
You talk too much.
Oh, I don't talk too much. Just thinking who I got to beat in this horse race, that's all.
I didn't realize this was a race.
Sandra Hüller as a writer who is accused of murdering her husband in Anatomy of a Fall.
Not at all! Your generosity conceals something dirtier and meaner. You're incapable of facing your ambitions and you resent me for it, but I'm not the one who put you where you are. I've nothing to do with it!
Carey Mulligan as the tortured wife of Leonard Bernstein in Maestro.
No, let's not make excuses. He didn't fail me.
It's Felicia.
No, it's my own arrogance. To think I could survive on what he could give. It's just so ironic. I would look at everyone, even my own children, with such pity because of their longing for his attention. It was sort of a banner I wore so proudly. I don't need. And look at me now.
Emma Stone as a social experiment gone really, really strange in Poor Things.
And I'm going to go on a side tangent before we reveal our winners. One of the reasons I actually campaign against the idea of making the acting awards just one single award and not separating by gender is because, with the exception of a couple of those performances, I don't know if any of them would get nominated this year. And even the two that I think are pretty good might not get nominated with the very strong Best Actor slate.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a fan of celebrating strong women. So I think if the issue is, do we want to be inclusive of non-binary individuals? I think there's a way to do that while still celebrating strong women. I think celebrating women less is not the answer.
Yeah, I think the solution should be pretty simple for a non-binary person. It's like, okay, well, what gender was the character you played, and we'll nominate it for that category.
Well, and the Tonys have just basically, I think, allowed the actor to choose. I'm pretty sure, and I mean, we've had a number of non-binary performers in the Tony Awards get nominated, and it's gone fine, and it's been no problem. Even won last year, the Tony. So I think we could just follow their lead.
Yeah, and I agree. But with that said, because I just had to get that tangent out there, that was my way of saying this is not my favorite category this year. Let's see who you would pick for Best Actors, and you would pick Lily Gladstone for Killers of the Flower Moon. Yeah. All right. The performance that some people would argue is a supporting performance. Let's hear your take on all of this.
I mean, I agree. I do think it is supporting, and I think that was a big mistake. And I kind of think that it's tough. This one's a really tough one to call of which one will win. But I think that she probably would be a shoo-in. And so I don't know. I do, and I think it legitimately is a supporting performance. But you know, whatever. I think she was incredibly great in this movie. I think she was moving, and I was going into this with actually kind of hesitant expectations. Killer's Little Flower Moon. I know I'm the only person that probably felt that way, but I was expecting it to be a movie that I admired more than I liked.
And you said some things that got Scorsese fans a little upset too.
Yeah, I mean, and I stand by it. But I actually thought it was really good. I found it very compelling. I was very moved by it, and I felt like it was a really good depiction of power and control and the way that we can be manipulated. Mm-hmm. And I think that her performance goes a long way in that, in showing how little power she has. Even though she's the one with the money, she doesn't have the power, and she's able, and I think that it's just a very effective performance in that regard.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna share what mine is. Read it in 3, 2, 1.
There we go. Lily Gladstone, Best Actress.
Yes, and by the way, I disagree. I do think this is a lead performance. I don't know how you're in 70% of the movie and it's a supporting, and considering most of the second half revolves around her potential killing, I should say. But yeah, it's kind of interesting that she and Emma Stone are kind of the one-on-ones, because I do like Emma Stone's performance quite a bit, but it's amazing how different they are. While her performance is like so out there and bold and in your face, mm-hmm. Lily Gladstone's so reserved.
Yeah, there's an abandon to Emma Stone's performance that I was very impressed by. Mm-hmm.
But Lily Gladstone, like, you know, even that little clip we saw where it's like she's subtly flirting with him, but she's not showing her cards. It's like, it's just she does a lot with so little, and you know, I don't want to give away the end, but that final question that she asks her husband, mm-hmm. and the way she asks it and the way she responds to his answer, it's like, oh, you feel it. Yeah. you feel that one, and I hope that she makes history. I think it would be great to see her win.
I also think Sandra Hüller was very strong in Anatomy of a Fall. I thought that movie was going to be really pretentious, and I thought it was really gripping and engrossing, and I enjoyed it. So, her performance I thought was really good. So
her performance was good. I did not like the movie. I admit I'm kind of in the minority, but
yeah, I really liked it. Yeah.
I was maybe it was because I was expecting a mystery or something, but it was always very clear to me she was not the murderer. There was no logistical way she could have murdered it, and the movie became like, look at all these stupid things that lawyers do to try to, you know, make circumstantial evidence seem way more weighty than it is. And you know, that's definitely an issue. I've listened to enough Dateline podcasts to get very annoyed when people are found guilty on evidence that isn't by no means solid. But it was,
I don't know. I didn't feel that way watching it. I didn't feel like it was clear. To me, it kept the mystery quite gripping throughout the whole thing. So I don't agree. But
the reason she never did it is because her son is blind, and there was no reason for her to stage that, you know, into the forest thing and everything. There would have been no reason to do that. But anyway, I also will say it's not the worst movie I've ever seen. Maybe I just need to rewatch it again because I was like kind of it just wasn't what I was expecting. Maybe a second viewing, I'll reevaluate it. It's happened before. All right.
All right. I mean, we all like things and don't like things. It happens.
Yep. All right. So the next category, and we're down to the last two, are Best Director, and the nominations are Justine Triet, Anatomy of a Fall, Martin Scorsese, Killers of the Flower Moon, Christopher Nolan for Oppenheimer, Yorgos Lanthimos for Poor Things, and Jonathan Glazer, Zone of Interest. And I believe, yep, you do have this one. Let's see who you would pick. You would pick, I'm kind of cautiously hoping that I'm right in my prediction who you will pick. Oh, I was wrong. You're picking Christopher Nolan in Oppenheimer.
Yeah, which one do you think I pick?
I actually thought you were going to pick Martin Scorsese.
Yeah, that'd probably be my second choice.
Yeah, I really thought you would with how much more 180 you did with him on this.
Wow. I always try to give everything a fair chance. I really try to be a fair, honest critic. And and I hated Nolan's last film too, so I did not like Tenet at all. So for me to come around and give him the best director here is saying something. I just think it goes back to what I was saying about how he was able to take something as boring as congressional hearings and make it engaging, and that took a strong director to do that. I still disagree with some of his sound choices and some of his other things that just annoy the heck out of me. But as far as what he did, as far as directing the actors and combining everything together into this package that made something that should have been boring, not boring, I think it's impressive. And he got all of the pieces, except for the sound, together to make a very satisfying film.
Yeah, the sound is the one category that shouldn't win. That should probably go to Zone of Interest. But
agreed.
Let us see what I picked.
Christopher Nolan, Best Director.
Yeah, now I actually think he probably should have won Best Director a couple times before this. But if he's going to win, this is a great one to win for all the same reasons you shared. He made what was supposed to be pretty boring stuff very engaging, and like Miyazaki with The Boy and the Heron, he had his fingertips in everything. He was the sole writer of the adapted screenplay. He's directing it. He is making the sound choices. He is doing an uncredited edit of the film because he's in there editing the film as well. He made with all due respect to Barbie, he made a movie that it's truly going to be something different in the theaters than it is at home, but it's also not going to be so different in the theaters because there's some movies where it's so great in theaters that when you bring it at home, it can't help but be disappointing. But this one can be so great in theaters, but it can also be great at home. And just on a little personal side thing, I like that the Oppenheimer 4K disc kind of put a bump back in physical media sales just as everyone was getting ready to abandon it. I think that was pretty.
That's true.
Yep. So, all right. Well, geez, we're agreeing a lot more than I expected to. So let's now get to the top one, Best Picture. I really wish I could have done a montage for this one, but we will name it. The nominees are American Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Oppenheimer, Past Lives, Poor Things, and The Zone of Interest. And with the exception of one of these picks, I think this is a pretty solid lineup. And let us see what I think at this point it's pretty clear what you're going to pick, unless you decide to completely throw me for a loop on this one. Oh, you're picking The Holdovers.
Shocking.
Actually, I'm not that surprised.
Of course, this is my pick. It's my favorite movie of the year.
Okay, so quick question. If The Holdovers if Alexander Payne had been nominated for director for The Holdovers, would you have picked him?
No, I think I probably would have still picked Nolan because I
Okay.
just think what he did in combining these two stories and in the way that he told that story was a harder director job than what Alexander Payne did. Even if I liked the movie more, I think the directing was stronger in
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you know, I've got a pretty unpopular opinion. I think directors and pictures should be split more often than they do. It's like I kind of don't understand. Like, oh, if it's one of the best
Yeah.
films of the year, it's like, well,
It
why did
does
that
happen, like when Power of the Dog happened there.
Well, in the sense of like, just because it's one of the best films of the year doesn't mean it's one of the best directing jobs of the year. I
Yeah.
don't know why they're so
Or when Ong Lee won.
for
They
like
didn't win
Life
Best
of
Picture.
Pi, and yeah, he did that twice actually. But like, I hate to pick on her, but like Justine Triet, like I don't know why she's nominated just because Anatomy of a Fall was considered a great movie. I don't think there's much in the directing to, but
I don't
yeah,
know. I
and
thought that was pretty well directed. A lot of people were upset that that Greta Gerwig didn't get nominated, and I can understand because you know you're like praising everything about Barbie, but the two main aspects of Barbie. But I think the movie's a little too messy for me personally. I wouldn't have nominated her, but I understand people to feel that way.
yeah, well,
But
I'm happy
yeah.
that Triet got it because you know that was like a nice surprise. Also, another spoiler: I don't think Margot Robbie. I'm glad Margot Robbie did not get nominated for Best Actress. That was not an Oscar-worthy performance. Well, let's talk about my Best Picture pick. Here we go.
Here we go. Oppenheimer.
Yep. I actually did put Oppenheimer as the best film of the year, so obviously I was going to pick this. I mean, I just, you know, as much as I like the other nominations, Oppenheimer kind of almost feels like it was an instant classic. Like, you know, this is a movie like Lawrence of Arabia, like Bridge on the River Kwai, like Gone with the Wind. Like, we're going to be watching it 50 years from now and still marveling at the achievement of the whole thing. I don't think this movie is going to lose its power at all. I mean, I've watched it 3 times and it's like it actually just keeps getting better each time. I think this is like one of those few years where it's like it's clearly high and above better than all the competition. Like, I don't think the other competition comes even close, to be honest. Maybe Killers of the Flower Moon, but everything else was like just happy to be there. So I know you like the holdovers a little bit more. Where would you rank Oppenheimer on this whole thing?
Well, just in my own personal taste, or what do I think are like the best movies?
Why don't you share both? Why not?
I mean, I would have my ranking. I would have Oppenheimer probably 5th.
Okay.
But if I was doing best, I do think it's a better movie than Barbie, but I like Barbie more, just my own taste. So I would probably, if I'm just talking about the best movies, I would probably put it 3rd.
Okay. Interesting. Aside from holdovers, hold on, let me see if I can't guess. Your Killers of the Flower Moon?
Yes.
Would be number 2? Okay, well,
yes.
Hard to argue with that one. That would be my number 2 choice as well. Yeah.
And I would say, if we're just talking about my personal preferences, I would have, and I do have a video ranking, but I would have my personal taste. I would have Holdovers and Killers of the Flower Moon and Barbie and Past Lives and Oppenheimer.
Okay. Well, you know, these are all, well, the only one that I think is kind of, I don't dislike it. It's just, it has no business being here as Maestro.
Yeah, agreed.
Like, all these movies
That's the only one I didn't go fresh on.
Yeah, actually, technically, I think I gave 2 stars to Anatomy of a Fall. But even then, I can understand more why that got nominated instead of Maestro. So
yeah, I just thought that Maestro was a phony exercise. I didn't buy it. So that was a problem. Zone of Interest, I think, is an interesting experiment. I think would be stronger as a short. I thought it was interesting.
I think that would be stronger if it was 15 to 20 minutes less, but I think it worked as a feature film. Although if it had been nominated for a short, if it was a short, like I
just feel like it makes its point and then makes it again and again and again and again. And if it was a shorter featurette, even, I just think it would be better. But I think it's interesting. So, I'm glad to hear it in the discussion. So.
The more I thought about it, the more I thought it was making different points and how it was subtly making new points, especially with the whole thing about like how could they just sit by and this doesn't bother them, and then like through conversation you pretty much figure out like, oh well, this is like better for them. And then that whole third act, which was grating on me a little, I will give, but even then some things are said, it's like oh my gosh, it just kind of goes to show like it's not only a better life, this is like a real career thing for these people is like figuring out how to most effectively kill people. It's like, and how the ending is haunting because they have that one moment where it's like they seem to have some self-awareness of what it is they're doing, but at the end of the day, we're going to do what we're going to do for us. So
I liked the ending.
Yeah, it's going to win best international feature, and I really wish that France had picked Anatomy of a Fall for their, just so that we could have 2 international films in the best picture race and international, because it gets pretty boring when an international film is nominated for best picture, because it's like, well, okay, I do not believe that the category should be discontinued, but the fact that for the last few years an international film has made it into best picture for the last several years is showing that it's not as.
I just wish for international film that it was literally the best international films and we didn't have this one per country nonsense, because sometimes, like with Japan this year, sometimes more than one film is deserving of, more than one film from a country is deserving of nomination, and I just think it's stupid. It should just be what are the best international films, and if it happens to be more than one from a country, then that's it. That's the best.
I don't think it is stupid. This is getting way off topic, folks. I think that's actually probably the best thing that they can do to make sure every country has a fair shot. Now, one thing that
it should be about the best movie, not giving everybody a fair shot. That's not what this is about. It's about what are the best international films, and if one country has more than one that's the best, that's what should be nominated instead of this one.
Except in the Academy rules for the international thing, it does state the purpose of the award is to celebrate international films altogether, and certain countries would not have that shot. Now, there is one change I would make to the category rules.
But if their films aren't as good, like it should be about what are the best international films. Like
well, this is where my change would probably come in handy. I would make it so that, look, every country gets to submit their choice, but if the voting member body feels that there is a stronger film from that country that should be nominated above this one, they can vote to change it and vote the alternate film instead. And I think because
that would be better, but I still think, Japan had 4 films that could have been in serious contention for winning this prize, but
I don't want any country to have 4 films in that.
If they're the 4 best, then that's it. And that's my opinion. So.
Yeah. Well, it would have a very hard time, because the thing is, if they change it to you, that's the other thing. Sometimes certain countries are routinely better at making movies than some of these other countries, and without this rule in place, at some point those countries are, once in a while they make a miracle, like Iran. They don't make a lot of great films, but once in a while they make a miracle. And unless they have a way to say, here's our entry, then they will completely not get looked at all. And
I don't think so. I think that if they make a miracle, I think that it would be acknowledged. There's some Panar Panahi and some of the other great Iranian filmmakers, I think I don't know. I guess I'm a simple person. I just think the best movies should get nominated, and if a country has more than one of the best, it's what the award is for. And it would only encourage people because they know that they have a better chance of actually getting nominated because there's not only one that
I don't think it would, because I've seen miracles handpicked by the countries, handed to the Academy, and the Academy will sometimes overlook them anyway. So I like the way things are. I would make that one change, but that's also not the topic of this video. But I do think that it is becoming an issue where I'm glad that international movies are making it into Best Picture, but we really need more than one to make it into Best Picture. Otherwise, the international category truly is useless as a race, because it was like the year Drive My Car got nominated for Best Picture. Well, no one else is going to beat it in international feature because you've already deemed that the best one. And so
that's a fair point.
So I
just wish that it was just a short list. Every country submitted their short list of the films they think are worthy, and then the just like with anything else, and then people watched those short lists, and then the best ones were nominated out of the short list.
This Academy, you also have to keep in mind when it comes to things like shorts and international films, these are not movies the Academy members go out of their way to see. In fact, because they go so little out of the way to see them, these are categories where it's like they actually have to get like their card scanned or something to verify that they've seen them all before they can even vote on them. And you're telling this Academy that you want them to watch like 50 films a year. Maybe this would be an interesting podcast discussion in its own right. We could actually do like a pro and con of changing it up. I actually think that would, in fact, we're going to do it. We're going to do it at some point. But,
fair enough.
But I always have to end this saying one thing to just piss a lot of people off just because I love to do it. And I'm going to say it right now. I might even lose a few subscribers by saying this. Nimona is not a great movie, and it should not be nominated. So that's my hot Oscar take. Nimona, and I know it's personal for a lot of people, and if it's personal for you, good for you, but I thought that third act sucked, and I don't like that movie very much. So that's my Oscar hot take. It shouldn't be nominated. Do you want to give an Oscar hot take that can make everyone upset?
Well, I didn't go fresh on Nimona, so I'm not that far off of you. I thought it was really dry, and I didn't think the characters were interesting, and I thought it was boring. So I didn't love it. But I'm glad it got made. So yay.
I am glad it got made, and released, unlike Coyote versus Acme.
Right.
Like that depresses
me. What do I have that's a hot take?
And it can't be that Maestro's a middling film, like a lot of people feel that way.
I'm pretty bland this year. Let me think. I mean, I already said that I think Zone of Interest would be better as a short. I think all of the animated shorts are kind of not great.
I wasn't very impressed with most of them either.
Yeah.
They were kind of disappointing. That doesn't mean Once Upon a Studio should have been nominated. I know why that wasn't, but it's like, really, these were the best 5 you could pick?
I do think it's better than any of those 5, but I can't think of anything off the top of my head that's too outrageous.
All right. Well, with that said, just a couple quick announcements, because it is Oscar weekend on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I will be reviewing all the Oscar nominated shorts in 3 separate videos, so look forward to that. Tomorrow night live, we will actually have an actor from Coyote vs. Ugly, and he is going to discuss his experience on the film and why the film is important to him, and really kind of the damage that shelving a film like this does for actors like him who get a big break and then can't have their work seen. So tune into that about 8:30 tomorrow evening. And Rachel, where can they find you?
You can find me at Rachel's Reviews all over social media, iTunes, YouTube, and on Rotten Tomatoes. You can read other hot takes on there. And you can find me at the Hallmarkies Podcast where we talk rom-coms, holiday films, and Hallmark, and it's super fun.
Yep, and with anyone but you doing so well, you might just have a lot more romantic comedies to review in the near future, because I don't know how studios don't look at the box office to that and say, yeah, maybe we should make more 20 million rom-coms that make $150 million.
I mean, there's been a pretty good little stretch because Lost City did pretty well. Tickets to Paradise did pretty well. And we've had a number of rom-coms that have scored. So it's exciting. It's an exciting time for this genre.
Yep. Oh, all right, folks. So you know the drill. You can comment below. And hey, if you're listening to us as a podcast, make sure to subscribe to iCritic Live on podcast. You can find it on Spotify, Apple, Google, Deezer, whatever podcast of your choice. And thank you for spending more than an hour of your time with us today. Thank you very much.
Bye, everyone.